I'm asking you, is there an independent expert that you can point to that says that this bill will not add to our national debt? Yes or no?
Yes.
There is?
Yes.
What are they?
Art Laffer.
Pardon me?
Art Laffer.
Art Laffer? Great. That I don't think that one counts.
Why doesn't that one count? Guy's a great economist. He's right here. Art Laffer, former Reagan economist, along with Steve Moore, host of More Money on WABC. That guy's a nasty guy. Art Laffer doesn't count. Of course you count. You invented the Laffer curve. So your one big beautiful bill is going to promote economic growth, and is it going to stop the debt and deficit from rising, Arthur?
Well, I don't know if it's going to stop the deficit. Stop the deficit from rising, that's for sure. And, you know, they've done the whole mistake, Larry, on how to count the revenues from this. They've got to do it. They've got to use static accounting, basically. And that's what they did when the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act passed. And when the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act passed, in the first 2 years, starting with fourth quarter of 2017 through the third quarter of 2019, total revenues of the federal government increased, and they increased by more than they had in the prior 2 years. These guys always are making mistakes on it, and this bill is just great. I'm really very positive on the BBB.
And Steve, first of all, Steve Moore, do you know the guy that tried to make fun of Arthur? I don't know who this guy is. I can't. You know.
I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell what congressman that was. But I have to say, you and I have known Arthur Laffer for decades, and every time they laugh at him, he turns out to be right, and they get a lot of egg in their face. So
yes,
Laffer's record is amazing. And look, Arthur's shown historically with the facts, every single time we have cut taxes, right, Arthur? Good things have happened for the economy. Every time we've raised those tax rates, bad things happen. It's not that complicated.
When the GOP goes off the Laffer curve, they lose. When the GOP stays on the Laffer curve, they win elections. I mean, I think those are facts. So I want to add, so stay with you, Steve, on the Art Laffer stuff, on all the economic incentives, part of the Trump trade story, he's getting these foreign countries and their big companies to put a lot of new direct investment, okay? Whatever the number, 5 trillion, 6 trillion, we'll see over time. But the point I'm making is, in the one big beautiful bill, there are fabulous investment and business incentives to put that money to work, which is not only going to grow the economy, but it makes this completely different than the 1930s and Smoot-Hawley. That's where I'm going on this. Trump is combining tax cuts, brand new. I mean, hell, you can expense a factory now. That's never happened before. And all these foreign companies are going to come in and pour their money in. And that's why it's a growth thing. It has nothing to do with the 1930s or Smoot-Hawley.
It doesn't, and incidentally, you also worked for Ronald Reagan. Both of you did, and the same thing happened under Reagan. Is that one of the reasons we had the big economic boom, what was called the 7 fat years of the American economy, is we just sucked capital from the rest of the world into the United States. Everybody wanted to invest here. That's one of the reasons the stock market went up. That's the reason jobs were created. I'm seeing exactly the same trend right now on Donald Trump. It's one of the reasons I'm super bullish.
All right, that's an interesting point Steve makes. The president said, the United States is the hottest economy in the world. What do you make of that?
I think it's completely correct. And, you know, Larry, whenever you get a trade deal that's agreed to by both parties, how can it be bad? You know, the Smoot-Hawley tariff was the U.S. flipping off the rest of the world with a unilateral tariff increase. This is an agreement between the EU and the U.S., between Indonesia and the U.S. You know, they both parties come together and say this is a better solution going forward. I don't know how anyone can say that's a bad deal when both countries agree to it. It's like any other contract, labor contracts or goods contracts or anything else. If both the buyer and the seller like the deal, what's wrong? I mean, it's just great. And
this is a point I made in my opening riff, exactly this point, that there was no tariff or trade diplomacy in the 1930s. There was none. In fact, there wasn't any diplomacy at all, unfortunately, history shows. But right now, you have the diplomat in chief. You have the deal maker in chief. Okay, that's Mr. Trump, who knows he's going out talking to everybody before we sign on the dotted line. That makes this completely different. And it's only a small toll.
Yes.
I'll make this point again. If you want to do business in the United States, the strongest economy in the world, he's saying to them, you got to pay a small toll to do it. Okay, 15 to 20%. Smoot-Hawley was 60%. We went back and looked it up. This has nothing to do with any of that. I just want to make these points because there's too much loose talk about that, and that has nothing to do with nothing. And basically, the revenues, they're going to pay for themselves, and between the foreign direct investment and the incentive structure, that will pay for itself. I mean, Art, honestly, I just think it's a pretty good deal. I wanted to get your take on it. And, Steve, I got one for you in a second. Hang on. All right, go ahead.
I think it's fine. I think this is fine. I mean, and when you look at it over the post-war period, Larry, we've been granting these countries all these protectionist things to help them develop after the war. We were very generous with this. They put in all sorts of non-tariff barriers. It's not just tariffs. It's non-tariff barriers they're getting down. Japan's allowing us now to sell meat and rice and other products in Japan that they weren't allowing us to sell, which means an infinite tariff on those. So it's all hopefully in the right direction. And, frankly, there's no reason why we can't lower them later on if it seems we should be lowering them later on.
That's a great
I'm
point.
fine with what's going on right now. I'm very pleased with it.
Steve Moore, one thing, though, I'm a little concerned. The issue of these digital service taxes on our tech companies and our social media companies. I don't think Europe, I don't think they've really decided in the deal yet. I know Canada hasn't decided either. What right do they have to tax American? What right does the European Parliament or whoever have the right to tax American businesses? That right is reserved for the American legislature, not foreign legislatures, Steve. I mean, we got to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, these are very punitive and discriminatory taxes on Meta, on Facebook, on Google, on Apple, on Amazon, our great technology companies. And you know what I love, Larry? You know who's defending them? Donald J. Trump. He's standing up for America's tech giants and saying, no, you're not going to discriminate against us. And by the way, this is jealousy by the Europeans. The jealousy is that they're nowhere, that we've dominated the internet age. I love the fact, as you were just talking about with Ted Cruz, we are now going to dominate the AI and robotics age. Trump gets it. It's that simple. We have the smartest people. We have the capital coming into the country, and we're going to create another $20 trillion companies, Larry.
All right. Love that. Art Laffer, thank you. Steve Moore, thank you. Appreciate it both very much. All right,
Thanks,
folks.
guys.